Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Avatar Weekly discussion topic video. This one's going to be the last video about bending, episode number 5. This one's going to be all about energy bending. Like I said before, this one's going to be much more speculation focused, in that while we have a lot of different uses of energy bending, we don't have a lot of the background behind the technique that we do of the other elements. So let's get straight into it. As far as we're aware, energy bending is the, I suppose, natural ability of line turtles. Now, they also seem to have an element as well in addition to that. That's what makes the line turtles so interesting, in that did they learn their element from something else, or what? Like, I suppose why line turtles have bending in the first place is an interesting thing, given that their main ability seems to be just energy bending. And obviously the way they use it is that primarily it is to grant people the ability to bend, because the way it seems to work is that energy bending is like direct manipulation, direct bending over chi paths, the chakra pools, and so on. Like, because they can grant people bending, it seems like they can directly alter a normal person's chi paths to become activated chi paths to the point where that person becomes a bender. And as I've been saying throughout these videos, in my opinion, the way that works from each element to element is that the line turtle activates the specific elemental chakra for that bender. So it's a fire line turtle giving firebender, he activates that person's fire chakra, and so on. And given the fact that another one of the abilities of energy bending is the ability to take away bending, it seems like this can also work the other way. Now, we've seen avatars take away bending, we have seen line turtles take away bending, and it seems to be a somewhat similar process, except it seems like when a line turtle does it, they can give and take away bending without it really overly affecting the person that gets the bending all that much. In that, when Aang takes someone's bending away, especially when he takes away Ozai's bending, Ozai is, kind of out on his feet. Now, admittedly, that's just after a really incredible battle with Aang, and, him suddenly not having his bending anymore at the end of that fight. That could explain it, but to some extent it seems like when you take someone's bending away, you really drain them of energy because of the effect it has on them. But, so that's the main thing that we know about energy bending, is just that it can give people bending and it can take it away. Directly affecting someone's kind of chi paths, their network of chakra flow throughout the body. The next thing I want to talk about here, I suppose, is the details behind energy bending. The main thing we have here is the line turtle's quote. He says, "The true mind can weather all lies and illusions without being lost. The true heart can touch the poison of hatred without being harmed. Since beginningless time, darkness thrives in the void, but always yields to purifying light." Then he also says, "In the era before the Avatar, we bent not the elements, but the energy within ourselves. To bend another's energy, your own spirit must be unbendable, or you will be corrupted and destroyed." Now, that's the key thing here. To bend another's energy, to energy bend, your spirit must be unbendable. So to some extent, energy bending is like the ability to bend someone's spirit. So the way Jinora uses that astral projection technique. So to some extent, an energy bender has control over bending someone's energy, the energy of their body that makes them up, their spirit. So that makes the whole water bending technique, spirit bending, very interesting, which leads into another point I'll bring up here, in that the spiritual technique for each element, those being spirit bending, fire, chi path analysis, enhanced seismic sense, and also astral projection. All of those, to some extent, feel like a kind of energy, almost an energy bending type move. in that spirit bending is so close to energy bending, it's almost exactly the thing. We know, we also know that Amon's using his blood bending to take away someone's bending, basically blocking off their chi pass, is basically as close to the line turtle and the Avatar's ability to take bending away as possible. So that's a very similar thing as well. And then all the other ones, the fire technique, very much analysis of someone's the flow of energy throughout their body. They're very clearly all about the chi paths of the body and stuff like that. The earth one, again, is the one I'm most kind of shaky on, if it even is the spiritual technique of bending, but it seems to work. You connect to, you're enlightened, your own spirit is connected to the tree and the banyan tree, and then you can see everyone else around the world. That somewhat makes sense. But in general, the it's one of those ones where they're so, we don't really know the origin. Like that I think that's the main thing. We know that the line turtles are very clearly the original ones, and obviously there was a lot of debate before Beginnings came out about the quote in the era before the Avatar, "We bent not the elements but the energy within ourselves." Was the line turtle just talking about line turtles? Was he talking about humans and line turtles, or what? Now I think it's basically confirmed that when he said "we bent not the elements but the energy within ourselves," he was very much referring to other line turtles that in the era before the Avatar, which was the era of the line turtles protecting humanity, basically. Of course, they bent the energy to give people elements. Like the line turtles primarily were benders of energy rather than elements, even though they themselves did have the ability of elements. But yeah, absolutely, just basing it off this quote, that your spirit must be unbendable or you'll be corrupted and destroyed. Now this is most clearly seen when Aang takes Ozai's bending away, and they kind of symbolically show this. They kind of, the way that, I suppose the best way to think of this scene of the whole blue light of Aang, orange light of Ozai, is less that that's what actually is happening. Like, neither of them are actually glowing apart from Aang's eyes. The best way to think of this is that this is energy-wise, like chi flowing and stuff like that. If you had a filter that you could just view the chi going through people's bodies, that's what's happening here. Aang is using energy bending to try and bend Ozai's spirit, bend his chi network, and Ozai's nearly takes over Aang's, but then he comes back and takes over it and bends Ozai to the point where he takes his bending away. And that in general is, I assume that's more or less what happens anytime someone energy bends someone, except we don't see the crazy light show of the battle of the two people's spirits for the most part. But there are other energy bending techniques, like how Aang is given the ability of energy bending is another thing, in that the line turtles also seem to be able to impart knowledge / the technique of energy bending to people if they wanted to as well. Because the line turtle, in the same way that the line turtles give humans normal bending, the line turtle Aang met gave him energy bending in the same way, with the green glow kind of coming out, and Aang having at least some of the abilities of energy bending, if not all of them. So I suppose the only thing being that he couldn't. It didn't seem like Aang had the ability to just give other people the ability of bending if they didn't have it already, but he later gives Korra the ability to restore people's bending who have it already, which in turn suggests that Amon's ability to take bending away wasn't taking it away more as blocking, very effectively their the flow of energy around their body to actually bend in the first place. But still, the ability of energy bending to pass energy bending on is also interesting. And of course, the main two, as I said before, are the ability to grant bending, take it away, and restore bending in certain cases. So line turtles still remain the only way to full on give someone who isn't a bender energy bending. So that's really cool. That seems unique to the line turtles still, obviously because they left after the Avatar came into existence and bending more became a kind of genetic thing passed on. The other techniques of energy bending are the ability to bend spirit energy effectively. We see Korra use this twice towards the end of the series. The first one is in Beyond the Wilds, I believe, where Jinora and a bunch of other airbenders and other people get captured in Republic City by the spirit vines, and Korra is able to come in there and basically manipulate the energy, the spirit energy there, and basically release everyone from the spirit vines. Like, she is bending the energy of those spirit vines to unlock them from the kind of prison they're basically captured in. And then the most notable one that I think people would remember is when Korra blocks the spirit vine cannon blast to save Kuvira. She is directly bending spirit energy here to block it, and to some extent what she does is like she seems to block it and like channel all of the energy from this continuous blast into kind of one point, and there's so much energy contained in one point it basically creates a spirit portal. The details of how exactly that happens obviously are completely beyond the scope of anything we can really understand. Just that there was so much energy going through here, such a powerful being is blocking this beam, that she contained all this energy and used it to kind of rip open a kind of portal between the spirit world and the human world and the physical world. So it roughly makes sense, and definitely makes you kind of wonder how the original two spirit portals were formed, and it makes you kind of question a lot of stuff about, like, were they formed in the same way as this, or did certain spirits form the north and south spirit portals, and so on. Like, it makes you have a lot of questions about the early history of the Avatar world, and how the spirit portals came to be, how the spirits discovered the physical world, how the physical beings first discovered the spirit world, and so on. Because obviously we have things like that the moon and ocean spirit came over to the physical world fairly early on, whatever that means, like early on in the creation of the physical world. We know that Vaatu has been around long enough to basically see humans evolve into humans from whatever they were before, and stuff like that. But then we also have this idea that line turtles are considered ancient even by spirits. Even by Rava, line turtles are considered ancient. So that, to some extent, suggests that they are the most ancient, the oldest physical beings in existence. So that presents another question, but they also have this ability to seemingly manipulate spirits, and we know line turtles can give spirits the energy of an element to hold. That's how Wan learns the elements, and that the line turtle gives Rava the energy to bend the elements, but she obviously as a spirit can't bend them herself, and then she gradually transfers the elements between Wan, I assume via energy bending to some extent as well, given that she can turn off one element for Wan and hand another one to him, while obviously passing through him is kind of increasing the energy storage within Wan, because there's so much energy flowing through him. So it creates this interesting dynamic between the spirits and the physical world with regards to, like, okay, so humans can contain the energy of one element and can use that element, but spirits can hold the energy of multiple elements but can't actually use any of them. So the combination of the two is the Avatar is someone who can hold multiple elements but also use multiple elements, and so that's really unique. But beyond that, it's one of those weird situations where we just have, like, okay, the people who can energy bend are Aang, Korra, and the line turtles, and we assume one or two, a couple more avatars throughout histories, in that we know line turtles have met with other avatars before, that they didn't just leave the world for good, that to some extent they came back, and the technique, I assume, had to have been used before at times. But very, very odd technique in that there's still a lot we need to know about it. I doubt we'll ever really get, like, full explanations for it. There's also, I suppose, Korra's astral projection technique, where she uses the cosmic energy of the universe with the Tree of Time as a conduit to basically make a super powerful version of her own spirit come into existence. And that's how we have the fight between, obviously, cosmic Korra versus Unavatu. So this is, to some extent, energy bending. It's Korra as the avatar manipulating cosmic energy of the universe, this basically limitless energy that exists out there, to empower her own spirit. Energy bending, obviously, as far as we were aware, the ability to manipulate one's spirit, one's chi, inner energy, and kind of combining that all together to make basically a super powerful version of her own self. So very, very interesting stuff. This form obviously able to fire one of those awesome laser beams similar to Vatu and Rava. So some really cool stuff involved with this. I suppose the fact that Korra could do that and Vatu highlights that the spirit beam energy is similar kind of in how it operates. But yeah, that's really about all there is to say on this one. It's the most confusing ability, just because it seems like it's so specific. Everything about energy bending almost relates to bending somehow. Taking away bending, giving people bending. Like this technique doesn't have any direct combat application, seemingly. It is just this ability to impart knowledge, to impart abilities upon other people. It's the ability to manipulate your spirit to some extent, to block energy, spirit energy, to harness cosmic energy if you're in the right spot, and that sort of thing. Just a greater connection to the spirit world allows you to do all this other stuff, like just free people who are captured by spirits and so on. So I think it's definitely an ability we need to learn a lot more about. I suppose that would involve learning a lot about the origins of the line turtles and that sort of thing, and finding out why, for instance, a fire line turtle has fire bending, but also a dragon has fire bending, and what the difference is. Like, did the line turtle learn that technique from the dragons, or did the line turtles give the dragons fire bending in the first place, and so on. Like, how ancient are line turtles? Because obviously the one thing that you put into question there would be water bending. There's no way the line turtles were the ones to give, the ocean and moon spirit, basically the power of water bending. But there is, I suppose, the potential for them to have granted that ability to the line turtles. And so it just presents this weird thing of just bending and the ability to manipulate elements. Where really does it have its origins from? Because the fact that there are water, air, earth, and fire line turtles almost seems random and doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because it's not really focused on all that much. It doesn't feel all that important that there are different line turtles of different elements, because there are the bending animals of each element. It just seems like this random extra thing that the line turtles have, that, oh, and by the way, they had one element that they could give to people, rather than just being energy benders and being able to make any line turtle being able to make anyone any type of bender. But no, it seems like they can grant anyone energy bending, and then the one element that they happen to have, which, again, you sort of start questioning a lot of things like, wait, how does genetics of line turtle bending work? In that, when line turtles have children, does a water and a fire line turtle come together and have a potential for a fire or a water line turtle, or what? Are they just born with energy bending and then they're given an element by their mother or father? I don't know. That's the really confusing thing, that I think line turtles are ultimately hold the key to what energy bending truly is. Because as I said here, half of the abilities involve manipulating spirit energy, your own spirit. And then half of them involve manipulating chi, inner energy. And it just asks, I suppose, that the one thing we really need is a better explanation for the details of how powers work in the Avatar universe, full stop. Is chi inherently spiritual? Is I suppose the idea is like when Jinora uses her astral projection technique and her spirit is outside of her body, is what that spirit is made up of, is it chi that it's made up of? And I think that if that was ever confirmed, I think that would solidify a lot of theories in terms of like, okay, so basically chi is the same thing that your spirit is, effectively. So energy bending can manipulate your spirit within your body, which links into the which combines spiritual and physical with regards to your, the chi path of a physical body, and it would have fixed a lot of things, I think. But in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on energy bending, all of the kind of slightly confusing things and how they come together, the various techniques and so on. But other than that, I guess next week's topic is going to be I think the next week's topic is going to be Kyoshi Warriors. I don't think it's going to be too long of a video, in that I roughly covered the Kyoshi Warriors in the Dai Li video, but I do want to give a separate video to the Kyoshi Warriors and focus a little bit more on the specifics of them overall, their techniques and stuff like that. So Kyoshi Warriors is next, but continue to, in the comments, recommend other discussion topics for me to do in future videos. But other than that, thanks for watching, and bye.